Guys, welcome to another full moon week. We have our full moon in Taurus that is going to be happening this week on the 19th of November. So that energy is building all week long. We also have some very prominent themes coming in energetically this week that are very much centered around a need for us to collectively keep our heads or keep our wits about us this week. Prominent theme coming in energetically as the energy is building all week towards this full moon that we have in Taurus on, like I said, the 19th. We also have Mars coming into an exact opposition with Uranus this week, and that is going to be explosive as well. And today, to start off our full moon week, we have the sun in an exact square to Jupiter. This is another very big energetic, so we have a lot to talk about. Welcome back to my channel, everybody. Today is Monday, November 15th, 2021. My name is Aubrey, and this is your astrological outlook of the day. Starting off another big week, like I said, and if you stick with me till the end of the report, I am going to do just a brief day by day and give you guys a heads up in terms of the aspects that are incoming each day so you know what to, expect as we go throughout this week. So, like I said, there is a very prominent theme this week that is asking us to keep our heads about us, keep our wits about us. I will talk about how that is playing in today. And we also have this very big energy today with the sun in Scorpio forming an exact square to Jupiter in Aquarius. So, a lot to talk about today as we head into the week. Let's get into it. First of all, before we start talking about the specifics of the Sun-Jupiter square that we have going on today, which is the energy that is characterizing today and the opening of this week, of course, we also have an Aries Moon going on, just to get that out of the way up front as well, let you guys know that the moon is in Aries right now, ruled by Mars, who is the ruler of this current Scorpio cycle. So we may be a little bit fired up internally today to make some things happen with the moon in the sign ruled by Mars, while Mars is the ruler of this new moon cycle and is currently moving into an opposition with Uranus. So groundwork laid. Okay, let's talk about the Sabian symbols of the position of the sun and the earth today. And then we will talk about the square that is happening between the sun and Jupiter and the symbolism involved in that as well and what we can expect. So number one, the sun today is at 24 degrees of Scorpio. The Sabian symbol for that degree, or the energy described in a picture form so that we get a better idea of what this specific point in the zodiac is actually activating energetically in the context of this grand unfolding astrological saga that is constantly carrying us through time and space. 24 degrees of Scorpio, the position of the sun today. Crowds coming down the mountain to listen to one inspired man. 24 degrees of Taurus today, the polar opposition of the location of the sun, where the earth is always located, 24 Taurus, an Indian warrior riding fiercely, human scalps hanging at his belt. So there is our first indication that this week we want to keep our mind straight, our wits about us, our head about us, being represented by the symbolism of the position of the earth today. And keep this in mind because as we move through the energetics today and I get to a point where I'm going to be talking about the full moon that's coming on Thursday, this theme will come up again. But anyways, in the context of the position of the sun and the earth today, this is kind of telling me, you guys, that we may be feeling like a bit ruthless or a bit vengeful today, possibly, and maybe like feeling like a bit out for blood in one way or another. But this is really happening as a result of things that we feel are interfering with our newly inspired ideas and perspective or our beliefs at this point in time. And this kind of makes sense in the context of things because number one, right now we have Mars sort of in a position where he's making a square to Saturn, not exact, but still very relevant, as well as an opposition to Uranus, not exact, but still very relevant. So Mars is kind of in this position right now where he's making a square to Saturn and also like waning out of a square to Saturn and also building into a opposition with Uranus. And that in and of itself kind of makes me feel a little bit of a similarity between how that energetic could potentially be making us feel and the Sabian symbol of the degree of the earth today, an Indian warrior riding fiercely, human scalps hanging at his belt. But it is like specifically because of some type of inspired passion or something like some type of an awakening or some type of a belief that we've come to that we are feeling very inspired by and very passionate about and very connected to, and may be potentially like out for blood in some type of a way if we feel like that is being impinged upon, restricted, held back, or turned down really in any type of a way. So that may explain a bit about how these energetics, why these specific energetics are the ones that are really laying the context for the overall energetics that are unfolding today. So, we may be a little bit angered by things that we feel like are impinging upon our inspired self-expression, okay? So yes, there's this degree of tension and hostility in the undercurrents of the energetics today by the placement of the sun and the earth. But remember, at these degrees, they are also forming an exact square with Jupiter today, and Jupiter rules faith, trust, truth, optimism, hope, expansion, luck, positivity, like all of the good stuff. All of the great benefic. This is Jupiter. Expands like positivity and hope, very uplifting energy. And so even though there may be some more tense or irritated, hostile undercurrents going on in the energetics today, we do have this very positive aspect that is happening. And even though it's a square, this is actually in traditional, just general astrology, a more positive square, and it gives energy to really get ahead in almost any way that you desire, as long as you are really avoiding excess and extravagance and exercising like some self-discipline in the things that are happening and going on. The downside of this transit, things to sort of look out for with this, because with Jupiter expands everything and it can just make things overblown sometimes. The downside of this transit is that it can cause us to like sometimes take on more than we can actually handle, like extend ourselves beyond our current reserves of like energy or resources. But like on the flip side of that, it can also give us this like very inspired confidence to succeed at or achieve things that we may never would have even considered trying otherwise, or that we would have found to be like completely impossible otherwise. This energy really can help us to turn the impossible into the possible, as long as we are, again, practicing self-discipline and not being like just in states of extravagance or like excess, and not like biting off more than we can chew. That's something that can sort of happen with the sun in the square to Jupiter, just giving us an artificial sense of our own energy and what we can do with that, but on the same side also inspiring us to take some action and put energy into things that maybe we wouldn't have considered possible otherwise, like I said, and also attaining like a level of success or being able to achieve them. So it is the type of energy that can inspire us to do the impossible, make the impossible possible. So this is a very uplifting and inspiring and motivating activation that we have going on to start this week. And especially in terms of the context of everything that we experienced last week and the week before and throughout the new moon and Libra cycle that was conjunct Mars, and these like deep fundamental changes that are going on, and like, universe really like reconfiguring the entire state of our lives. And now we're being given this like inspired confidence to, take a risk possibly, or to try something that we hadn't considered before. And it is supported under these energetics, as long as, again, we are being disciplined and we are not like taking things to extremes or being like very overblown in our what we're putting our energy into, with it being the sun. Yeah, with this aspect, it's important to avoid arrogance and excess, but as long as we are practicing self-discipline and self-control, very inspiring, motivating aspect. We believe in ourselves and our abilities with this aspect big time. Now let's talk about the specifics of the degrees where this is happening, because this is like, these degrees fit together so well, and I just think that this is like the perfect position where this square could be happening. So 24 degrees of Scorpio, like I said, where the sun is today, crowds coming down the mountain to listen to one inspired man. Jupiter is currently at 24 degrees of Aquarius. That Sabian symbol is turning his back on his passions. A man teaches deep wisdom from his experience. So when we put these two Sabian symbols together, it's really saying Turning his back on his passions, a man teaches deep wisdom from experience that crowds are coming down the mountain to listen to one inspired man speak about. So they're really talking about, it's really beautiful how these fit together. It's perfect. They are speaking of inspiration and trust derived from wisdom through experience. And if you've been following my reports, if you've been following my work, there is this major theme ongoing right now of the Chiron archetype, the Chiron energetic, wounded healer, teacher, wisdom through experience, victimhood transmuted into self-mastery through this internal alchemical process of, recognizing our wounding, healing it, learning about it, mastering it, overcoming it, and then going on to inspire others along that same path. And then from a place of self-mastery, really being able to come into the truth of genuine, authentic fulfillment and being able to serve the greater good to a much greater and better capacity from this place. And it just creates this snowball effect of humanity transcending victimhood and trauma and coming into self-mastery, self-empowerment, and true co-creation with God and universe, which is the trajectory and the energetic shift from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius, which is the purpose behind all of these energetics that we're experiencing right now. And every week, it's just big activations lately because we are in a very, very significant time energetically. So these two symbols together, the sun and Jupiter, both big, significant, important planets in the exact square today at these degrees, walking away from the past and inspired by truths we are learning now based on wisdom gained through experience, and them opening a truly whole new door in terms of our perspective and what we are accepting into our lives, and therefore the circumstances and the relationships and the experiences that we are attracting and creating. Really beautiful transitional energetic process that we are all collectively undergoing right now. And this is another key being turned in that process of unlocking all of these doors to true self-mastery and transcendence out of our lower selves into our higher selves and our true potential, which, like I said, is the transition into the age of Aquarius. So, it's very relevant. The degrees of this activation specifically is very relevant. And it's at 24 degrees as well, which in numerology breaks down to a 6, which is the number of love and flow and connection. And it's really I feel like this aspect is really inspiring us based on the real truths and the wisdom that we've gained through this experience and the way that it's changing our perspective and the change in life trajectory that we are coming to realize is necessary as a result of that. So very powerful activation at these degrees. Turning his back on his passions, a man teaches deep wisdom from his experience, and crowds coming down the mountain to listen to one inspired man. Clearly that one inspired man is the man who came to a point in life where he realized that he needed to let go of the things that he had loved and that had been a major part of his life in the past, but just are no longer suiting his growth anymore and are no longer enabling him to come into a further evolution in every way, and that it's just the end of an era and that it's time to let go and to move on and to embrace all of that possibilities that are before us when we can, realign with the truth that we authentically hold within us, and then attract more relationships, more experiences, more circumstances that resonate and correlate with that and support our own internal growth and evolution into the elevated levels of frequency that are stationary, that are the groundwork of the age of Aquarius. So I really do feel like this aspect today, the sun, Jupiter, opening the week, leading us into this week, hosting this full moon in Taurus and Scorpio, and Mars in an opposition to Uranus. We're in a very explosive week, you guys. There's going to be a lot happening this week. This is going to be a really big week. I know I say that every week because every week honestly has been a really big week, and this is another one of those weeks. And Mars, ruler of this cycle, coming into the opposition with Uranus, who was opposed to the new moon in Scorpio. We could expect some very explosive energy happening this week, and to open the week with this really inspiring aspect that is really pushing us to take a risk, take a chance, do something that we wouldn't normally have done, and actually have a successful and supported outcome is a very inspiring way to head into these energies that may be a bit more chaotic. But we have a lot of support. This whole cycle is also about divine intervention. So no worries, have faith. We're literally being rescued at this point in time, even though it may not feel like it at the time. So big energetic today, and at those degrees, it's really saying a lot about everything that is unfolding right now, and it's just crazy. So what else I have to talk about today? Like I said, we have the moon in Aries. That means that the moon is in the sign that is ruled by Mars. And that is speaking, of course, to Mars in Scorpio. Mars today is at 11 degrees of Scorpio. That Sabian symbol is a drowning man being rescued. Ruler of this cycle at this degree today with the sun in square to Jupiter. We are being inspired to make the impossible possible, and this process is rescuing us. It's rescuing us from the circumstances in our lives that had been limiting us up until this point in time, and a lot of that had to do, again, with being in situations that were out of alignment with our authentic truth and not realizing the genuine value of everything that we hold inside and the potential that there is to be cultivated and what that can really do in terms of transforming our life and our life experiences and the amount of fulfillment and abundance that we actually receive. And that is what universe is pushing us towards right now, to unlocking those gifts, to unlocking those blessings, and to being able to reap the harvest of all that we have within us, and then to be able to share that with the collective and the greater whole. It is the process. That is the transition into the age of Aquarius, and that's what's happening. But back to the moon. In Aries, Mars at 11, Scorpio, like I said, a drowning man being rescued. So this entire process is happening to save us and give us another chance to do things differently. And with the sun in the square to Jupiter today, we are being inspired to maybe try something new or to do things differently. And there's divine intervention coming in and rescuing us and giving us another chance. We may, like I said, with the moon in Aries today, feel quite fired up about things. And, considering that we still have Mars in the square to Saturn and also in opposition to Uranus, sort of like right in the middle there, activating both of these transits and both of these planets. And then the moon, our emotions, activating Mars. Definitely we could be feeling a bit like an Indian warrior riding fiercely, human scalps hanging at his belt. So we definitely want to try to keep our wits about us, to stay calm, to stay grounded, to keep our heads about us this week. It's also interesting because with the moon in Aries, remember Chiron is also in Aries, and the moon conjuncted Chiron early this morning, moving through the day. Again, activating while we have this Sun Jupiter square going on at these very Chiron oriented degrees. The moon is also with Chiron early today, so that energy, we are resonating with it internally as well. The Chiron archetypes: wounded healer teacher, wisdom through experience, victimhood into self-mastery and self-transcendence, all of these themes, healing deep wounds, learning about root issues, discovering the root of the problem, going through this transcendence process that helps us to heal it, this alchemical internal process. All of this taking place today. Again, even more emphasized by the fact that we have the moon actually coming into an alignment with Chiron, while this very Chiron-oriented Sun-Jupiter square is also in effect. Interesting. Remember, self-discipline and self-control are the guidance, the golden rules under this energetic, as we are inspired by a faith and trust in the wisdom we've gained through experience, Chiron, and that everything that we've gone through up until this point, and the way it is changing our perspectives on ourselves and on our reality. And this is very much has to do with the direction of our future as well. Chiron right now is at 9 degrees of Aries. That degree is a crystal gazer. So we're really potentially creating our future now through this Chiron embrace, this wounded healer teacher archetype, this hero's journey process that we are all going through, and that is really being activated today by the square at these specific degrees, inspiring us to try something new, make the impossible possible based on this wisdom we've gained through experience and the inspiration that is represented through that. Very beautiful, very beautiful. Let's see, what else did I write? Oh, you guys, here's another thing that I wanted to say, because of the placement of this specific degree, with it being at 24 degrees of Scorpio and Aquarius, it's very clearly referencing a man, an individual, a specific person. So like literally, because the Sabian symbols can be very metaphoric, but sometimes they're actually like scary literal. So with this, we may also see some type of leader or figure emerge under these energetics, most likely male, that inspires people and draws like attention, draws a crowd, gains attention for bringing hope and support to the more downtrodden or like the more disenfranchised. And this reminds me of like sort of like waking the sleeping giant or bringing power to the people, like some inspired figure emerging. I mean, just based that has like is emblematic of this hero's journey process, that like is the man who turned his back on his passions to teach deep wisdom from experience and is inspiring the people, the sleeping giant, waking them up. This could also is something that, you know, either just on a microcosm, like in our own individual lives, or like on a macrocosm on the world stage, like there could actually literally be a person as well that is really embodying the Chiron archetype in your experience and inspiring a lot of people at this point in time to do the same. So this is a very, you know, and like I said, it could be just somebody in your daily life, or it could be something playing out on the world stage. So very inspiring, energetic at these specific degrees. And we could see leaders emerge under this. So very interesting, especially in the context, just of course, of all that we have going on at this point in time and all of these crazy energetics in play. Another thing that I want to tell you guys is that we do, like, there is a lot of nervous energy going on right now with all of this Uranus activation. We had Mercury and Uranus all weekend, and now we have Mars in Uranus, and we're heading towards this full moon where there's just energy building all week. Staying grounded is probably going to be a very useful tool this week. And, you know, just trying to like ground yourself in nature, or to, you know, like meditate and stuff like that, because this is just like a very like, you know, like up, like very high, fast vibrational energy that we have going on right now. Because I really do feel like we're going through a vibrational shift this cycle that is going to be leading to very dynamic changes coming up, probably with the Capricorn lunar cycle. But yeah, there could just be like a lot of like nervous, tense energy in the air. So staying grounded and like really grounding yourself in like your gut and your faith and reality as much as possible, you know, or your vision of reality is probably a beneficial tool this week when we have these energetics like this. So that's pretty much what I have to say about the energetics for today, for Monday. Now let's talk briefly about what we have incoming this week, you guys. Tuesday, tomorrow, a very Pluto-oriented day. Issues with power struggles, shifts in power dynamics potentially coming up. We're going to have both the sun and the moon aspecting Pluto tomorrow. The sun will be in a sextile to Pluto, and the moon in Aries will be squaring Pluto in Capricorn. So again, like, and I'll talk about this tomorrow in my report, but tomorrow, very Plutonic day. Wednesday, this is like we have a full moon this week, which is a very big energetic. Obviously, it always is. But Wednesday is really like the highest level, but I can't say that because we have a full moon. Wednesday is a really crazy day. That's when we have the exact opposition between Mars and Uranus. And of course, I mean, how could it be any other way? For that moment in time, the moon is also going to be in a conjunction with Uranus. So we're going to have the moon conjoining Uranus. That is always like the time of the month when we experience the most like Uranian activity, shocks, surprises, things happening out of nowhere, things being thrown up in the air, just like potential for like a little bit of chaos. But then with the opposition to Mars, like this is huge. This is big. I'm expecting, honestly, you guys, like big time financial and economic shakeups possible because Uranus is in Taurus, which rules all of those things. Also, disruptions in action, motion, and like the movement of things could be very possible. Supply chains could really have some crazy things going on as well. And also, because Mars is in Scorpio, there could also be some really big secrets or heated revelations that are very shocking that come up as well and cause a lot of like action or conflict. Crazy. Wednesday's going to be a crazy report. You're definitely going to want to turn in for that one. Thursday, I mean, it takes Mars 2 days to transit a degree. So Thursday, we will also still have Mars in a conjunction or in an opposition to Uranus. This is a 2-day transit. And simultaneous to that, we are also going to be having Mercury trining Neptune exact. So another really, really crazy day of spiritual awakening, conscious awakening, spiritual experiences, woo-woo, like stuff happening like crazy potentially on Thursday. That these energetics, Mercury exact trine to Neptune in water signs, while Mars is in exact opposition to Uranus. Yeah, that's like major awakenings happening. And with Mars in opposition to Uranus in Scorpio and Taurus, this is major awakenings happening also. And then Friday, coming in like overnight into, it happens at like 4 a.m, I believe, we have our full moon in Taurus. And for that full moon in Taurus, Mars is still going to be in opposition to Uranus, although it will be a 1-degree orb. We're also going to be having Mercury making 3 aspects, an aspect to Neptune, Jupiter, and Pluto. And you guys, this full moon in Taurus is only 1 degree off from the fixed star in the sky, which is the star called Algol. And this is one of the more treacherous fixed stars. And it's actually the star of Medusa, I believe. And it has themes of like losing one's head, generally, like as one of the descriptors of this specific fixed star. And so like not only are we starting this week with the Sabian symbol of the earth about an Indian warrior riding fiercely, human scalps hanging at his belt, but this full moon that we have coming in this week is only 1 degree off of the fixed star that in ancient astrology is associated with losing one's mind, losing one's head, losing one's wits. So this really is being indicated and highlighted to start the week, and also in terms of the actual position of this full moon that's going on. So, you know, we could really see people like losing their minds, losing their heads, like I said, losing their wits, not to be redundant. I know I keep saying that, but I can't really think of better expressions. Mental health issues could be very, very high with this full moon. And I mean, that makes sense as well, because like I just got done saying, this anxious energy, this anxious tension, this anxiety, like it could lead to just this high vibration that a lot of people like aren't used to, that is coming in right now as we go through this shift. Like people could really just be losing their minds this week, this full moon, moving through the rest of this cycle following this full moon, you know, just because of the placement and the irony of us starting this week with that specific degree being highlighted by the position of the earth, what's happening on the ground. So, yeah, heads up, heads up about that. It was my cute little pun that I didn't even plan in advance. Look at me being funny. And then on Saturday, you guys, Black Moon weekend coming up. The moon will be in Gemini on Saturday. And one more thing I want to say, when we do have that full moon that is talking about, you know, the head, we also remember, like I said, have Mercury making 3 aspects. So that is all over the place mentally as well. So keep that in mind. And then immediately after that on Saturday, we have the moon moving into Gemini, where the Black Moon is currently bringing up shadow side issues, collective fears, insecurities. So yeah, in the Black Moon in Gemini, this can trigger mental health issues as well. So I'm putting up a red flag this week and heading into this weekend, especially following the full moon, for mental health issues and people just kind of losing their minds. So as you're navigating reality this weekend, keep that in mind. And I will, you know, update you as we go through day by day the energetics this week. But just to put it out up front. Saturday, we are also going to be having Mercury squaring Jupiter and making an aspect to Pluto exact, square to Jupiter, sextile to Pluto. And we're going to have a yod going on, a finger of God aspect between Venus, Mercury, and the moon, and an exact conjunction to the Black Moon as well. So Mind and beliefs being transformed over the weekend in a big way on Saturday. Again, maybe contributing to this people losing their minds energy that's going on. Secrets exposed, amplified with this, and heavy emotional energy as well. And then on Sunday, more of this black moon energy. And this finger of God, this yod aspect that we had on Saturday, changes from the moon, Venus, and Mars to the moon, Pluto, and Mercury. So again, on Sunday, thoughts and feelings are changing as deep secrets are revealed, and like this shift in mental energy that's going on. So big week, guys. Huge week in the energetics coming up. Like I said, you know, I feel like I'm beginning to sound like a bit like a broken record, and I'm not trying to just constantly be like the galactic hype man of the universe coming out here and being like, oh my God, we have another huge day. But it just turns out like that. Like that's just the way that it's been going. And it's because we are in this period. I've been studying astrology for a very, very long time, and it's not normally like this. It's not normally this busy, but it's just because we are in the transition of ages right now. So what else is to really be expected? So in terms of the tarot today, you guys, which I was shuffling this morning and I was asking God to clarify the energy for the collective today. What message do you want me to give to the collective to clarify the energy where we're at, what we can expect this week, what's going on? Got a very straightforward message, and I really feel like this is just the theme of the day and also the theme of the week. And I actually also just said like all of this stuff. I was like, wow, well, that's pretty self-explanatory and fits in perfectly. But anyways, the card that came out when I was shuffling was the Tower, Uranus, breaking things down in a crazy way so that they can land in a position where they can grow organically into something much more beautiful, much more fulfilling, and much better. And then, so this is, okay, so guys, this is major shakeups. This is upheavals. This is unexpected things happening. This is just like, expect the unexpected. What I've been saying, this is all the themes of Uranus. This is the Tower coming down, okay? And what is it pertaining to? What was on the back of the deck? When I looked at the back of the deck, it was very obvious. We have the Queen of Pentacles. So this is what I was saying. This is exactly what I was talking about. This is, to me, talking about Uranus in opposition, or Mars in Scorpio in opposition to Uranus in Taurus. This is the sign of Taurus right here. The Queen of Pentacles, our like material abundance, our safety, our security, the things that we build in our lives that give us that sense of safety and security and stability. You know, what we work on physically, materially, tangibly to create stability and abundance, and the resources that we have, all of these things represented by Taurus and the Queen of Pentacles. With Uranus, this is really just telling me, you guys, like I said, that we can potentially expect some big financial, economic shakeups this week, disruptions in supply chain issues. I know that we've been having that, but they might spike into something even like potentially bigger this week with this, or just upsets to our state of like stability and comfort, which is what we can expect when Uranus and Taurus is being activated, because that's what Uranus and Taurus does, is shake us out of our comfort zone in terms of, oh, my camera's about to shut off. We'll talk about this later. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.